The Senate will now come to order. The Pledge of Allegiance will now be led by Chief of Staff Tax, followed by a moment of silence and reflection.
If willing and able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. You may be seated.
The clerk will now call the roll. Please correct the pronunciation of your name if it is incorrect.
Faber. Barnes. Barr. Bracy. Bryant. Calder. Cost. Creed. Durham. Galavati. Galt. Goldstein. Gruner. Hamilton. Harvey. Heater. Hensley. Hurd. Howe. Kay. Kuhn. Kwame. Keen. LaPinta. Lapsley. Lazarenu. Lynn. Malachi. Brandon Miller. Isabella Miller. Montalto. Morgan. Wynn. Peterson. Magvajula. Ravi. Sane. Sellers. Spittler. Tanner. Badlamani. Vaught. Wenzel. Whitehead.
With a quorum being present, is there a motion to approve the Journal of October 4th, 2023 as found online? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. We are now in line for general orders of the Senate, beginning with special guests. Dr. Michael Strayer, you are recognized to come give a report before the body. Dr. Michael Strayer, as the Director of Printing Services, Dr. Strayer leads a diverse team to advance the university's reputation through the following auxiliary support services: communications, printing, mail services, and copier fleet management. Prior to dedicating his expertise to a career at USC in 2012, Michael began his career in the commercial printing market in 1984. He has held positions in sales, operations, and corporate management of multi-million-dollar companies. Mr. Strayer, you are recognized to come give a report before the body.
Hello, all. How are you? Good, thanks. Appreciate the time to present the update and the awareness of the student printing kiosk program for you guys. Short story on it is in 2018, we developed the whiteboard plan to provide this to the students. And in 2019, right when we were going to go deploy one in beta mode at the School of Law, the student government body, Senate, I believe, sent out a request to have us initiate some kind of a coordinated, standardized platform that you guys could thoroughly enjoy. I'm sure those of you that have been here multi-years would express the frustration between what Printing Services was offering, what the library was offering, what Gambrell was offering. None of it was the same, and it was just frustrating beyond belief. So what we leaned into was a standardized platform, which allows you to print in color and black. It allows you to load your own files in the cloud and walk up to any device on campus in this program and open your directory and print as you wish. You can ask it to print, obviously color and black, 11 by 17 or 8 by 11. Another little interesting quirk inside the program is if you have a multicolor file, 10 pages black, cover page color, it only charges accordingly. So that's a nice little benefit. These signs, well, let me get to the map here. I just gave Kevin some material, a map of the current layout of the university. There's 31 active units already deployed on campus, and 8 more yet to be determined as to where they're going to go, but that's soon to be resolved. And so the campus is fairly well saturated, and I hope you guys have had a chance to enjoy it. The library, obviously, Thomas Cooper is kind of ground zero, always has been for print, due to its central location and hours of availability. So they have 5 units on the main floor when you walk in, and then 1 more unit down the tech lounge. So the unit can take Carolina card, can take credit card, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and you can, pay as you go as you wish from there. All the units have this particular signage set up next to them, which defines the program, but also indicates for you through the barcode at the bottom where you can get help on how to process something, how to load a cloud file, or if you had an issue, you can express that through the form stack to let us know which machine gave you any kind of problem and how we'll help to resolve that as quick as we can. So the interesting thing about how the program is built is basically we agree with the site partners to provide all the equipment and to set it up and manage it. The site partners then become our eyes and ears on site to help you guys process through what you're working on if you need help. But it's a very self-serve device. It really is very basic, very fundamental, yet robust. So anyway, I think I yield to questions at this point. If you guys have anything, I'm happy to answer.
Mr. Strayer yields to questions. Are there any questions for Mr. Strayer? Senator Whitehead.
Is that a question about the general student population or specific pockets of,
Would there be at least one location or would there be any moves anywhere on campus, one location or campus-wide to get free printing for the general student body?
No. Technically, right now, we have some areas that offer us subsidies, and we can incorporate that into, if we know who the student is when they swipe in, we can connect the subsidy or the discount at that point for them. But that's up to the local partner, like, the School of Law or whoever else would initiate that effort. But we can manage it on the backside.
Any other questions for Mr. Strayer? Chairwoman Ravi.
With regards to like refilling cartridges and printer paper, because I know that's a concern sometimes those things run out and they're not restocked like frequently. What is that system like?
Good question. So can I ask you specifically, is there a place that it happened that you know of or commonly happens?
I mean, I'm just saying this happens to me off campus, like in my apartment complex, and they won't fix it for like 3 months. So I'm just worried that the same problem would happen since it's a self-serving
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
So part of the infrastructure for the system is that the site partners are responsible to visit the machine every day to make sure the credit card swipe device is intact. It's not damaged, it's not missing. It's a PCI compliant requirement. By them having to be on site at the machine, they're expected to unlock the device, open the drawers, make sure the paper is loaded, also to make sure the toner is okay. We're working on an email notification behind the scenes to alert them either or low. But it's their responsibility to do that. So how this works technically under the covers is we can't be everywhere. That's why we have site partners. And so they buy the paper, they load the paper, and then at the month-end reconciliation on how much volume that machine has done, we pay them back for the paper, and they also get a stipend, like a thank you for being this site partner for their efforts.
Any other questions? Senator Kaye.
No, it's okay. Athletics is debating on how they're going to handle this. It looks like it might be a January rotation. Engineering is evaluating 2 placements. That might be sooner than later. Russell House is all but decided. We just need to verify the location for another unit. Printing Services has one in the store. We're going to offer another unit, most likely outside the store, for you guys to have more access on different hours than the store offers. Public Health is answering a question. That might soon happen. Medicine is resolving 2 questions, and that will probably likely happen, getting one at the hospital location and one at the VA. And the last one, the Coliseum, at this point is unresolved. So that's not sure of the date on that one.
Any other questions, Senator Kaye?
Well, when they have pick the placement, we like to have it in a public access. That's one. Also need power and networking. So sometimes it's not, in where we'd like to have it, that's not ready, so they have to get it ready for us.
Any other questions, Senator Hamilton?
So right now, Jesse is currently building a new nursing school that's going to be located like outside of Columbia in Lexington. Do you know if we're going to be providing printing services in that building?
And where are you again?
The new nursing building for USC Columbia students will be located in Lexington, not Columbia.
Right. That has not come up yet, but we have one in nursing already. I can talk to the team at nursing to see if that's a viable placement.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you so much for coming in, and let's give him a round of applause for his work for the university.
Thank you.
We are now in line for general orders of the Senate. Moving on to reports from Senate leadership. Is there anyone willing to speak on the Rules Committee? Chairwoman Creed, you are recognized.
So Speaker Pro Tempore Hurd apologizes he can't make it. He's currently traveling to Maryland. But 2 bills were passed out of Rules Committee, the usual finance bill and the attendance work group has submitted their legislation reforming the attendance policy. Both pieces will be read on the first reading calendar later. And thank you to everyone who helped with the Food for Thought initiative. As a final reminder, As a final reminder, our engineering delegation is hosting a Food for Thought engineering edition at Swearingen Faculty Lounge tonight at 8 p.m. This will serve as their inaugural meeting with their new Engineering Leadership Council, where they will solicit input from student organizations in their college. This is a great example of the sorts of initiatives that all of our delegations will be accomplishing in the coming weeks. And thank you for everyone's hard work this week.
Do you yield to questions?
I yield to questions.
Chairwoman Creed yields to questions. Are there any questions for the chairwoman? Seeing none, thank you so much. We will now hear a report from the Academics Committee. Chairwoman Creed, you are still recognized.
So academics did meet Monday at 6 p.m. in the LSC. Just to give an update, we did not meet before fall break, but I did meet with Claire Robinson, who works for the provost office, regarding advising, and we had a really good conversation about some of the problems that they have in regards to sharing advising information. And we decided that one of the main places that it's not being shared is across University 101. The Advising Center offers for the people who run each section to sign up to come in to have the presentation done for them. And there are only about 96 out of 316 sections that did sign up for that. So we're concerned that advising information isn't being properly shared with freshmen. So I'm looking into meeting with University 101 to discuss the course layouts and see if we can standardize some type of presentation and have it required. Because first and foremost, this is an academic institution and advising is something that every student has to do. Yesterday, there was a revision sent out in the required textbook for the course, but going one step further, I think having a presentation would be a little bit better because not everybody reads the textbooks. I'm also looking forward to putting together a tabling event to help share more information. Another problem with advising is getting responses for post-advising surveys. This is to help you guys because if there's a problem with advising, they need to know and they can't fix it unless they don't. And as of October 12th, out of 14,000 advising appointments that happened, only 300 were filled out. So if you've had advising and haven't filled out the survey, please do. There are QR codes in the academic advising office, as you can also find it on their website. We're also looking at starting back on the headshots at the Horseshoe Initiative soon. But we also found SBL 11521 unanimously favorable. And with that, I yield to questions.
The chairwoman yields to questions. Are there any questions for the chairwoman? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Finance Committee. Chairman Kuhn, you are recognized.
Hello, everyone. We obviously did not meet last week on Friday because fall break. But the week before, we had our typical finance meeting for 2 hours. The bill that should be coming up today in terms of recommendations for allocation should be around $21,500. That's not precise, but that range. That being said, we had our typical dialogues, and we'll have the same thing this Friday. So with that, I yield to questions.
Are there any questions for Chairman Kuhn? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Health and Safety Committee. Chairwoman Ravi, you are recognized.
Hi, guys. So we typically meet on Fridays from 4 to 5 p.m. So last week we did not meet as a result of fall break. I, however, individually met with the president of the No Periods Left Behind Club, and they have generously offered to donate us $100 worth of funding to buy period products so that we can make baskets and stock the libraries with them during finals week. We also got a couple of products as a direct donation from them, so that'll be a lot of help. We're going to be collaborating with that outside group as well as Freshman Council to assemble the baskets that we plan on putting in the Thomas Cooper Library. In addition to that, we're going to be collaborating with the Student Life Committee in Freshman Council. We're going to be doing a kind of beginning of the semester initiative with them where we're going to get a bunch of rubber duckies and we're going to have students write down things that they want to let go from the past year or things that they hope to accomplish in the future year. And we're going to have them floating around in the Thomas Cooper Fountain once we come back, probably around like January 10th is when we're thinking. And then in addition to that, we have some new initiatives coming up on the docket. One of them is going to be figuring out locations of all the AEDs, which are automatic like defibrillating devices and things like that on campus, and we're gonna make a visual of that so that students can have that, because that's pretty important. And then we're also working on a sexual assault awareness and just kind of information general initiative as well. So that's pretty much what we've got going on. I yield to questions.
Chairwoman Ravi yields to questions. Are there any questions for the chairwoman? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Inclusion and Equity Committee. Is there anyone willing to speak on the committee's actions? Seeing none, we'll now hear a report from the Judiciary Committee. Chairman Bryant, you are recognized.
Good evening, everybody. So, Judiciary did not meet last night because we meet on last week, because it was a Friday and fall break. I want to make sure everyone was enjoying their fall break and not coming to a meeting instead. So we will be meeting this Friday. It will be held at the KJ Williams courtroom in the law school due to the fact that we have a hearing for an associate justice nominee, as well as a confirmation hearing for an elections commission member that we've not been able to get to yet. So we'll be doing 2 hearings. as well as reviewing one of the pieces of legislation that comes down the pipeline this evening. As always, all confirmation hearings are public, and we encourage attendance if people are interested to see the process. With that, I will yield to questions.
The chairman yields to questions. Are there any questions for the chairman? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you all.
We will now hear a report from the Powers and Responsibilities Committee. Chairwoman Baber, you are recognized.
Hi, everybody. Powers and Responsibilities did not meet on this last Monday because it was just after fall break, so not many people are able to make it to interviews, nor would they be able to check their emails over the time. We do have 5 interviews coming up on this next Monday. Let's hope that we have all 5. So we're looking forward to some new vacant seats, or filled vacant seats. I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields to questions. Are there any questions for the chairwoman? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Student Life Committee. Chairwoman Malachi, you are recognized.
Hi everyone, Student Life met on Monday at 6 o'clock, so we also had the honor of Freshman Council and Student Life Committee being able to come in and speak with us. We discussed their casting off event as well, how we can help them and moving forward with that. Other than that, our committee worked on legislation workshop, where we kind of worked together as a committee to write legislation, and we're able to edit one more piece that's coming through next week. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields to questions. Are there any questions for the chairwoman? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Sustainability Committee. Chairwoman Heater, you are recognized.
Hi everyone. Not much to report today, but essentially we didn't meet last week because we meet Fridays at 2:30. So we'll be meeting again this week, Friday at 2:30, and we'll be working on legislation for green certification and a climate action plan. I hope you guys all have a great Halloween and enjoy celebrating. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields to questions. Are there any questions for the chairwoman? Seeing none, thank you. We will now have a report from the Freshman Council. Are there any representatives from the Freshman Council present? You guys are recognized to give a report before the body.
Hey guys, my name's Fiona and this is Alexa. So I'm going to be reporting about our committees and our updates. So for our community outreach, they are working with Toys for Tots, and they are trying to do like stuffed animals and give them and be a part of like elementary schools around the Columbia area. Let me go to thing. Hold on. For academics, they are still trying to work on the syllabus and trying to get it out earlier for students in the next coming school year or the semester. We're just trying to get it out just about a week earlier so everyone knows what books they need to buy and what they need for their classes, so they're not getting it the first day of classes and then having to deal with it the first 2 weeks of classes. And then from health and safety, they are planning a tabling event for students to meet counselors with the health services and raise awareness about free counseling. And they're also working on stress reduction events for finals, and they're incorporating writing chalk with Green Street to spread positivity.
All right, and moving on to sustainability, they are trying to collaborate with a bunch of the residence halls to create a competition to see who can collect the most bottle caps. And those bottle caps will be donated to the Ronald McDonald House. And hopefully that will take place after Thanksgiving before the holiday season. And they're also in the process of creating recycling graphics to post around campus to make people more aware of what is recyclable and what is not. And as for DE&I, they're working on their mental health and social media campaign. They have a table out on, I think it's Davis Field, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of next week. So if you guys feel free to stop by. They will be interviewing a few people, asking them questions about mental health and how they can be improved upon, and just basic little questions for that. And they're hoping that this will be posted on the U of SC students' Instagram as well as the student government Instagram as maybe a reel as well. And then we are both on the Student Life Committee, so we'll like to speak a little bit about that and what we're doing. Currently, we have an event planned for December 5th. We have a table on Davis Field, and it is from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we will be passing out Celsiuses along with words of affirmations and little notes and with study tips for finals week, just to make sure that everyone is encouraged for finals week and just to spread some positivity throughout the community. And then as well, we touched upon our casting away like a little event that we have planned. I know we've spoken with the Student Life Committee on the Senate as well for that. And we are still in the process of getting all of the logistics figured out for that. Currently, we are in contact with the director, Russell House, and there may be a chance that we can also use actual fire to do that, and we can provide a bunch of lanterns, kind of like the scene in Tangle, if you know what I mean. And that's kind of the idea behind it. And we would allow a fire marshal to come here and observe that as well. And that is still under the process of getting approved and logistics figured out, so more will be on that to come. And we also yield to questions now.
The representatives yield to questions. Are there any questions for the representatives? Seeing none, thank you so much. And let's give them a round of applause for their first report. We will now hear a report from the Constitutional Council. Chief Justice Buchmeier, you are recognized.
It's good to be back again. Hope everyone's having a good evening. As always, I do not have much to report this time. Excited to hear that we're getting more Associate Justice interviews, but besides that, as always, I yield to questions.
The Chief Justice yields to questions. Are there any questions for the Chief Justice? Seeing none, thank you so much. We will now be in line for a report from the Speaker of the Student Senate, Cameron Eubanks. Chief of Staff Tax, you are recognized.
Hi, everyone. So unfortunately, I actually don't have a list to read today because it's been seen that the Senate bios have been deleted from the Google Drive. It is not there. So I'm going to really, really hope that that was an accident. I'm going to pray that that was an accident. But just because we do need that information, everybody's actually going to send that information to me, and I will make your slide for you. So everybody's going to need to resend that information to me, and I will reread lists starting next week. So again, I really, really hope that was an accident. If not, thank you to the person that did that, because now everybody has to send that information to me again. So on a more positive note, Food for Thought, I think, went absolutely amazing. Thank you to everybody that came out. We have had hundreds and hundreds of responses, gave away over, I think, 4,000 chicken minis, quite a lot. So a very successful event, and it couldn't have been possible without all of the help. I saw everybody out with the student body. We had people actually out there talking to people. People were really, really engaged. Once the conversation started, we would kind of start out slow. Oh, you know, advising's an issue. And then it would kind of spiral from there. And so we got a lot of really, really good feedback, things that I didn't even know were issues, nor like anybody on staff as well. So I'm really glad that those came to our attention. We will be taking all of that data and combining it. I think it's really, really important to show how many people think that's an issue. So if you've had people like, oh, well, everybody said parking, well, that now shows that we have 700 people on campus that think parking's an issue. So those numbers really, really do matter. And I wanted to thank you guys again for such a successful event. So with that, I yield my time to questions.
Point of information, we're working with assessment for student life at the university to combine the data collected from the event. It will hopefully be made into a really nice one-document report that actually will give statistics from our yield. So for example, you can quote, from the packet, you could quote like 90% of the students yielded believe that parking is a concern. So it's those types of things that you'll be able to pull from the document, and you can use in your legislation. We can use it in our meetings with faculty, administration, stakeholders. So we really, really do appreciate all of y'all's hard work on the event. It definitely showed. I heard a number of students actually write down that their concern was there wasn't enough events like the one we were doing. There wasn't enough outlets for people to provide concerns in a manner that way. So I think it's really, really important that we continue those conversations past today, right? You do represent those colleges, so even though there may not be chicken menus given out, please continue those conversations with people you meet in your classes, your friends. If you have any delegation projects coming up, please continue those questions of what can we do to make your student experience here at the university better. So all around great event, and I'll talk a little bit more about it in the announcements. With that, the Chief of Staff yields to questions. Are there any questions for the Chief of Staff? Senator Kay.
We actually have no clue. We went on to it today. My staff has no idea what happened. Lauren is the owner of the document, and even on her account, it said someone had deleted the document. So we were just a little confused about where this document went. And we know, again, if you accidentally deleted it, it's okay. But just please, please be aware. Please be careful when you're on the Google Drive. Deleting documents does delete them for everybody.
And point of information, we just looked at this, so we'll look at it further to see if we can bring it back. So, any other? Unfortunately not. Sorry, I'm sorry. But Lauren will tell me what she wanted to say, and I'll say it or send an email. Senator Kay. So tradition and precedent says that we cannot suspend the rules for someone that's not a senator. And that's a good question for future reference. Anyone in the Senate meetings are open to the public, but the privilege to speak in a Senate meeting is only given to those that are elected and fill vacant seats. Any other questions for the Chief of Staff? All right, thank you so much. We are now in line for a report from the Student Body Treasurer. Chief of Staff Sean Duty, you are recognized.
Hello, everyone. I'm back. There's not a whole lot to update you guys on, but you should have gotten an email last week from Hannah. Can I get thumbs up? You guys got it, saw it? Okay, great. So that email is very cool because, just to reiterate, we have our own internal fund. So there's the external fund, which is $186,000 for the organizations. But we also have about it's either 44 or 46,000. That's just specifically for student government. So that's for you guys to use. I think we've used 43.8% of the initiatives fund. So that's dream big. If you have an event you want to do, we can, I can't say for certain, but we're here to help you guys get funding for that. And that process can be helped by me or Hannah. And that money's there for us. I think we've used about 60% is for 56.5 of the external budget. For that internal budget, there's still a lot left. So I encourage you guys to dream big with your events. I used the budget to literally get donuts last year and just hand them out and tell people to get their updated vaccines. So it can be something as simple as that, or you can do something a lot bigger and request a lot more money. So just here to encourage that, and that's all. So I yield my time to questions.
The Chief of Staff yields to questions. Are there any questions for the Chief of Staff? And point of information, you can find the live budget in the Senate Drive. If you go to the main page, you'll be able to look at all of our internal budgeting. So the initiative fund, the office supplies different line items like office supplies, executive stipends, those type of things. And they keep like a running list of the transactions that pull from those line items as well. Any other questions for the Chief of Staff? Seeing none, thank you so much. We are now in line for a report from the Student Body Vice President. Vice President Reeves, you are recognized.
Hey guys, I hope you all had a great fall break. Because of fall break, I do not have much for y'all, but for those I saw at the mixer last night, hope y'all met some great frocoers. But as far as the next mixer, Ia, Jameen, and I are kind of talking about what that'll look like, but most likely we'll send a poll out in the group meet for like a couple of date and time options for that final one, because I want as many people that are taking mentees to be able to go to that, have something that's a little bit more like structured so you can meet more people as well. And then besides that, in a couple of weeks we have Carolina Beautiful Week. I'll get y'all more details out on that. But if you saw like the photo shoot that was done not this past year, but the year before, we're gonna do something like that again this year. And Anya, my programming director, will send like a sign-up sheet out for that as well. I think Cameron did it, and he said it was super fun. So y'all should definitely sign up for that when that comes out. And then also, I know I've said this like a million times, but if you have any ideas or guests like that you meet at any events on campus that you think would be good speakers for the Inside 1801 podcast, Brandon and I would love to hear those. We've had a lot of fun recording the first episode, so want to keep that going, and we'd love to hear any like input y'all have for that as well. With that, I yield to questions.
The Vice President yields to questions. Are there any questions for the Vice President? Seeing none, thank you. We are now in line for a report from the Student Body Student Body President. Mr. Lord, you are recognized to give the report.
Hey everyone, so I haven't been up here since April, but I am Emmy's Legislative Affairs Director, Aiden Lloyd. So I hope everyone had a fantastic fall break. Emmy spent hers in Missouri with our Board of Trustees, and despite the heartbreaking loss of the game, she actually had a super great trip because of a ton of beneficial conversations with trustees and administration in a more informal setting. So I guess to start things off, before the October 13th board meeting, she had a lunch with Trustee Alex English in his role as chair of Student Experience and Academic Excellence, which was really receptive. She'll be presenting at his committee during the board meeting in December. The topics will include many policies she's been an advocate for, including accommodating student growth, the student activity fee, Greek Village housing, and of course, parking and Wi-Fi. And on the Wi-Fi front, a big discussion that followed the board meeting after October the 13th was about IT and Wi-Fi. The board and president are very hopeful to work with student government and students in general in addressing our network debt that has been a problem for many, many years, as many of you know. President Thompson is working with administration to figure out cost and timelines for how this would work and what it would look like, especially means that would not require internet outages for students. And a small but important win on this front is that Thomas Cooper Libraries networks will be updated over the winter break and modernized, and a part of Russell House will be expanded as well. On a really, really exciting note, in partnership with USCPD and Student Affairs, we will be offering an Uber discount for students at the Carolina Clemson game this November. President Thompson will be sending out more info about this, but essentially what it would look like is an email will be sent out to students with a link, and that link will connect them to be able to redeem $10 off their Uber ride on game day. The link will be accessible from about 9 a.m. on November the 25th until 9 a.m. on the 26th, unless funds run out before then. On a more internal note, Frankie, our Deputy Secretary of Safety and Transportation, is working with the administration transportation on lift codes that have been temporarily paused for reevaluation. We are also super excited to be putting forth our second nomination for Constitutional Council tonight, and look forward to y'all getting to know her. President Thompson and the whole staff, myself included, would also like to thank everyone who came out for Hibachi by the Horseshoe yesterday. It was so much fun getting to do that in tandem, of course, with Food for Thought, and it was great to see such a high amount of student engagement. Additionally, government relations is working hard at all 3 levels, and this includes planning meetings for their DC trip in the spring, working on the GR survey, which will be coming out soon, and planning another town and gown event, which, by the way, the GR survey is going to be incentivized by offering students a chance to win a free reserved parking spot in a parking garage on campus. Then President Thompson has also been having lots of conversation with cabinet and students in general about the first year complete program that Barnes & Nobles in Russell House is kind of advocating for. To summarize it, the program would charge students on a per credit hour basis for their textbooks instead of going in there and buying them individually. And when looking at the data, we kind of realized that in the long run, it would most likely cost students more, as many would forget to opt out of the program in purchasing textbooks. So faculty has agreed with this notion, and they're going to discuss it at Faculty Senate next week. But a big research win for Carolina Research, figuring that out. And lastly, President Thompson met with the new parking director, Brian Favela, yesterday and discussed for parking. She reports he is fantastic and super energized for the role, and about his goals for the department. There are some exciting tech innovations he is already in the works, and more details will be out soon, but essentially it would show students from their phone, laptop, etc., the availability of parking around campus in lots, in meter parking, etc. Additionally, President Thompson has been working with John Bennett on the university transportations for the audit of the University Transportation Department. So thank you very much to everyone who provided feedback in that. And I will end as a reminder to check the SG group chat, Snapchat group chat for an announcement next Wednesday, November 1st. It's a really exciting announcement. And with that, I will yield the questions.
The Director of Legislative Affairs yields to questions. Are there any questions for Mr. Lloyd? Seeing none, thank you. And point of information, the new Director for Parking and Transportation is super, super excited to be here. He comes from LSU, where their parking and transportation services are light years ahead, many universities in our country. He's looking to bring a lot of technological advances to our university, and he's looking to build back the department here. So it's super exciting. Hopefully we'll try to get him in to speak to you guys soon before the term ends. But we were super excited by that meeting, and I hope that you are excited as well. So we are now in line for special orders of the Senate. Are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read?
A communication from the Office of the Speaker of the Student Senate requesting a 1-week extension for the following positions: Assistant Clerk.
The question is of a 1-week extension on the appointment of Assistant Clerk. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The extension is granted. Continuing on.
A communication from the Office of the Student Body President concerning the nomination of Corey Dent to the following position: Associate Justice on the Constitutional Council.
The nomination is referred to the Judiciary Committee. Continuing on.
Approval of the following committee assignments for the newly confirmed senators filling vacant seats: Aiden Grunner, Health and Safety and Equity and Inclusion; Ellie Tanner, Judiciary and Academics.
The question is of approval of committee assignments. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The committee assignments are adopted. Continuing on. Seeing no more special orders of the Senate, we are now in the motion period. Are there any motions on the floor? Senator Wenzel. There's been a motion to remove Senator Wenzel from the Finance Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Are there any other motions on the floor? Senator Miller. There's been a motion to remove Senator Miller from the Academics Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Chairwoman Heater. There's been a motion to remove Chairwoman Heater from the Finance Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Kaye. There's been a motion to remove Senator Kaye from the Academics Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Chairwoman Baber. Granted. Chairwoman Baber. Granted. Senator Goldstein. Those are two separate motions. Granted. Senator Goldstein. Does the Chief of Staff have that? Granted. Senator Valdemani. Granted. Does the Chief of Staff have that? Granted. Any other motions on the floor? Seeing none, is there a motion to take a 1 to 2 minute recess to assess committee standings? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. We are now in a 1 to 2 minute recess. Is there any other motions on the floor? Seeing no, Chairman Bryant. Does the Chief of Staff have that? Granted. Chairman Bryant. Granted. Any other motions? Seeing no more motions, is there a motion to dispense with the motion period? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. We are now on the call of the introduction of new legislation. The clerk will now read.
SBL 115-24, introduced by Speaker Pro Tempore Hurd, a bill to reform the Senate attendance policy.
Senator La Pinta, you are recognized to speak on the legislation.
Good evening, everyone. If you don't already know me, my name is Mia La Pinta. I'm just here filling in for Speaker Pro Tempore Hurd to give you guys a quick summary of this bill. It was put together by all of the interested senators who joined our attendance work group, so I thank all of you guys for your input. So here are just some of our proposals in brief. So our current policy is that we have 3 unexcused absences for Senate. So general Senate sessions, 3 unexcused absences. And then you have 2 unexcused absences for committee. Our updated policy is to just make it 3 for both. It's just to simplify and provide some extra grace for senators. We also added a clarification that a violation of either policy and not both by missing a 4th session at either committee meetings or general Senate meetings would be considered a violation. So just to kind of clarify and make sure there was no more confusion. We also added that senators must be notified before they can be removed. So this is to provide some senators with some extra protection so that they're not removed without knowing that they were over the limit, and you should be receiving that from Speaker Pro Tempore Hurd. We also lowered the threshold to remove a senator from 2/3 to a simple majority. Since senators are given that extra protection of not only the 3rd absence allowed, required notification, and an opportunity to have absences forgiven with all of our changes. So that being said, we also introduced a new absence forgiveness policy. This was based off of a lot of other SEC schools who had the same kind of idea with their student government. Senators can have up to 2 unexcused absences forgiven after the fact if they attend additional events like tabling that the Speaker's office is at liberty to declare. Like, they can declare pretty much any event that they want as extra credit events. So basically, for every 2 extra credit events attended, the senators get 1 excused absence removed. So if you're at that threshold, if you're at that 3 and you want 1 removed, you can go to 2 events, and that one is forgiven. It can be used, so just to be clear, this can only be used to excuse 2 absences of any kind. This is also only if the senator does not already exceed the limit. So, i.e., if they have 4 absences already, they cannot use this policy. So those are just some changes in brief. If you have specific questions, you can email anybody involved with the bill, or Ian would probably be the best person. After Senate, I can answer any general questions now, and if I don't know the answer, I will get back to you. And with that, I yield to questions.
The senator yields to questions. Are there any questions for the senator? Seeing none, thank you. And point of information, in terms of tabling events, food for thought could have counted as well. So those are the types of events that could be deemed as a forgivable type event. So the legislation is referred to the Judiciary Committee. Continuing on with the call of the introduction for new legislation, the clerk will now read
SBO 11525, introduced by Senator Vaught, a bill to permit the Senate Finance Committee to allocate funds to student organizations.
Senator Vaught, you are recognized to speak on the legislation.
Hi, everyone. So, Finance Committee met 2 Fridays ago. 21 clubs requested funding for a total of $38,033.29. The Finance Committee was a little bit stricter this week. We denied 10 of them, approved 11 of them. Arranged from most expensive to least expensive. The organizations were the American Institute of Chemical Engineers, Phi Alpha Delta Pre-Law, American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, Chinese Students and Scholars Association, Percussion Society, Circle K International, Maternal and Child Health Association, Dawa on Campus, Circle K International again, Pan-African Student Association. There's a total of $21,528.70 approved. And with that, I yield to questions.
The senator yields to questions. Are there any questions for the senator? Senator Kaye. Are you referring to asking the senator a question? Senator Kaye, you are recognized to give 1 question, and then if you want to do a follow-up, you can raise your placard again.
Yes, both of those were for tabling. Yeah, I yield to question. I am not sure about that.
Senator Kuhn. Any other questions for the senator? Seeing none, thank you so much.
I move to approve this by acclamation.
There's been a motion to pass by acclamation. Is there a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is adopted. Continuing on with the call of the introduction for new legislation, the clerk will now read. Hearing none, we are now in the call of the uncontested calendar. The clerk will now read.
SBL 11521, introduced by Senator Morgan, a recommendation to petition the administration of the University of South Carolina to expand the hours of operation of the Thomas Cooper Library to 24 hours in the week before examinations.
Chairwoman Creed and Senator Morgan, you are recognized to speak on the legislation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Everyone, I really don't have much more to add in information pertaining to this bill that I did not convey in the first reading speech that I gave. I will say there was an amendment, if you remember, during the first reading that was tacked on to here, which basically spoke to the policy of other SEC schools regarding their libraries being open in the lead up to exams, which in my opinion makes the case even stronger for why this recommendation should be passed. I will yield to the chairwoman if she has anything to add.
I do not. I feel like everything was said and is clearly written.
Do you yield to questions?
Yes, we yield to questions.
Are there any questions for the senators? Seeing none, thank you so much. Given that it was on the uncontested second reading calendar, we shall move to a vote on the legislation. This shall be a voice vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The legislation is adopted. Continuing on with the call of the uncontested calendar, the clerk will now read. Hearing none, we are now on the call of the contested calendar. The clerk will now read. Hearing none, we are now in line for a period of open discussion. Does any senator wish to bring a matter of attention to the body? Seeing none, we are now in line for a period of announcements. Are there any announcements from the floor? Chairwoman Ravi, you are recognized.
New week, slightly different announcement. So this is something that I kind of just did very last minute. I emailed the people at Prisma Baptist yesterday, and I was like, hey, what if I did a research project with psychiatric patients? Because my psych patients always complain about how communication sucks between them and the patients. And today I got a response saying, we think that's a great idea. So right now I'm in the process of drafting a grant proposal for that research. So if anybody's interested in psychiatric research, this will likely happen next semester or during the summer, because I need to get stuff cleared by like the IRB. But if you are pre-anything or just into psychiatric research and you want to get your toes wet research, just like reach out to me. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Do you yield to questions?
Oh, a point of information? Point of information, it's likely that the patients that we'll be working with are schizophrenic and psychotic. I yield to questions.
Are there any questions for the chairwoman? Seeing none, thank you so much. Are there any other announcements from the floor? Senator Hamilton, you are recognized.
Hi guys, so for people who don't know me, my name's Maura. Just little random plug, outside of student government, I work for the admissions office, and we're working on we're gonna do some changes in that in the future. So if you guys have anything that you have ever thought of that you thought was different, you wanted to be different, during the admissions process or when you were deciding on colleges, just let me know, because then I'm gonna take that back when we do our meetings. So I yield to questions.
The senator yields to questions. Are there any questions for the senator? Chairwoman Heater.
It can be anything about the application process or when you were deciding on freshman housing, how you felt that the school reached out to you when you were an admitted student and not a committed student, anything regarding that.
Any other questions for the senator? Seeing none, thank you so much. Are there any other announcements from the floor? Seeing none, as always, I do have an announcement. I apologize about my delay. I'm kind of exhausted today. But I hope that all of you had an amazing time at Food for Thought. The last couple months planning this have just been a whirlwind, and I think the event went amazingly, even if that's a word. But I think it was a great event, and I think we've got a lot of useful data out of it. And just to reiterate what we're doing with that data, we're working with assessment and student life to compile a report. So that report will be readable to the president of the university, but also the faculty and the stakeholders. In that report, it will include percentages of our total yield, so you will be able to reference those when in conversations with faculty members, stakeholders, and all of those things. It will also include data on the responses, but it will also include data on the demographics. So we will be able to see what colleges we got the most responses out of and what colleges we got the least responses out of. So when that information does come out in the next 2 weeks, I hope as delegations you take that and you use that information to inspire projects moving forward in your delegations. That's a really, really good way to see what colleges Senate is reaching and what colleges we may need to spend a little bit more attention on. I will say all 5 locations pretty much hit every college. So we're super excited to see that data. And I hope that you guys had a great time and had meaningful conversations. We got a lot of positive feedback on it, a lot of students saying that this was a great event and that we should be doing more of this. So as we get the data and as we look at that, we may look at possibly doing another scaled down version in the spring semester, as this one was our really big event and also was very expensive as well. So we will be looking at doing a scaled down version in the spring based on the data we get from this one. But that being said, I cannot thank each of you enough for signing up for shifts. Like I said, this was a whole Senate initiative, and I really think we really gave that impression to the students as well. I also like to thank some of the senators and freshman council members that came to help us bag the 6,000 chicken minis in the span of 2 days, in the span of an hour each day. So thank you to those people who came to help out on that. But if you do have any questions about the event or any questions about the data, please do not hesitate to reach out to Courtney or I. The data is going to go through many, many revisions and checks before it goes to assessment. So it will be cleaned up. It will look nice and pretty. That being said, if you took notes and comments on your phone because of Wi-Fi issues, go figure. But Wi-Fi issues, please upload those to the Google Sheet within the next day or two, because Courtney and I will start going through the data next week. So please take the time to upload that into the Google Sheet. But other than that, it is Halloween. Normally, if you've been in Senate before, we usually do a Halloween Senate. Unfortunately, we cannot do that because of our special guest, Mr. Strayer, who gave up his time to be here to talk about printing. And so we will possibly be doing a dress-down Senate next Wednesday instead, meaning you can dress casual, but with maybe a string attached. We're not sure what that's going to look like yet, so we'll send it in the group me, so please be looking out for that. But we also are probably going to open up 2 Halloween costumes as well if you would like to revisit. It's only the day afterwards, so, keep Halloween going, I guess. But with that being said, please be safe this weekend. Pedestrian safety was a big thing we got in the Food for Thought data. So that being said, please be safe, be responsible. Remember that even if you're not in this room and in session, or you're not in a committee meeting, you are still a senator and you still represent your college, but most importantly, you represent student government, which is held in very high esteem to a lot of stakeholders here on campus. So please keep that in mind when you are participating in Halloween-type activities in certain parts of the city. That would be greatly appreciated. Also, please send some fun pictures to Lauren. We may post some of those pictures and some really fun social media stuff about Halloween. So definitely send us pictures of your costume because we want to see all of your beautiful faces. And with that, I will yield to questions because it's been a long day. Is there any questions for me? Oh, and one more thing, if you do have some engineering friends, remember that the Engineering Food for Thought edition is tonight at 8 o'clock. Student government is providing pizza and soda and drinks as well. So if you have any engineering friends, please tell them to come to Swearingen to talk with their engineering senators. And with that, are there any other announcements on the floor? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered, the Senate will now stand adjourned until Wednesday, November 1st, 2023.